welcome back to Beer Drinkers. Today we're going to be teaching you how to make burn ends. And if you've never heard of burn ends, I'm gonna introduce them to you. Burn ends are a delicacy in the barbecue world. I grew up in the South where briskets really weren't a big thing. In fact, I don't think I'd ever tasted brisket until much later on in life. Down south, the big thing was pork. Whether it was a pulled pork sandwich with a little bit of slaw on it, pork ribs, baby back or spares, and then chicken, barbecue chicken. That was pretty much the real deal down there. Anyway, in Kansas City, I got introduced to these heavenly bits of goodness. And burn ends are taken from a brisket. You get a Packer brisket, you've got two sections. You've got the flat, and when you think about the flat, that's usually the part that when you get a sliced brisket sandwich, that's what it's coming from. And the point's the other side. And the point, a lot of times back in the past, it wasn't used a whole lot. It was an afterthought. And what we do now with the point is we end up separating that. We end up smoking it a little bit longer. We end up cubing it. We sauce it. We smoke it a little bit more just to set that sauce. And then what you end up with are these little cubes that are just tender as can be and absolutely delicious. Heavenly.
Okay, now it's time to get to business. We gotta separate that point from the flat. Just go ahead and trim away on all the fat that's connecting the two. Once you've got them separated, set the flat aside for later. We're gonna use the point to make our burn ends. It only takes a little bit of mustard. Just squirt it on the top and on the bottom, spread it around. Just make sure you have good coverage. Now, people in South Carolina would probably insist that you use a whole container of mustard. It's not necessary. Alright, get your point, throw it down on some aluminum foil, and then go ahead and get your rub and sprinkle away. Get some good coverage on both sides, and then wrap that sucker up tight. We're going to throw it in the fridge and let it rest overnight. It'll be worth it. Get your smoker going at 225 degrees Fahrenheit when you wake up. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, or a beer if your coffee maker's broken, and then throw that point on the smoker. Once you load that point on the smoker, expect it to cook for about 4 to 5 hours. You're looking for a really nice mahogany color. So once you get that color, it's time to pull that thing off and wrap it back up. Today we're using my favorite, peach and pecan, to smoke with. Now that's a nice mahogany color. It's now time to wrap that point up and proceed to the next step. Admire your work and grab a beer. Use the big container of the heavy-duty Reynolds wrap. Take 2 sheets of that, wrap up your point real tight, make sure there aren't any holes, and you should be good to go. The aluminum foil's just going to help the point cook a little bit faster and retain moisture. Now throw that point back on the smoker, let it cook for an hour or two, or until a thermometer will pierce the meat just like butter. Alright, once that point's hit 210 degrees internal temperature, when it's done, and the thermometer will pierce it like butter, it's time to pull it off. We'll throw it in a aluminum foil pan and let it rest in a Cambro or in a cooler for about 30 minutes. After you let that point rest inside the Cambro or a cooler, go ahead and pull it out, throw it on your butcher block, and start cutting it up. We're just going to cut it up into about 1 by 1 inch cubes. Once we've got it cut up, you take it, throw it in the pan, and then we'll start saucing it. It's pretty easy to use a brisket knife, or if you don't have a brisket knife, you can use an electric knife. Go ahead and sauce away, but don't use too much sauce. You don't want to totally drown them in sauce. Just nice coverage. Here's the sauce recipe. Share it with your buddies. Now it's time to load the sauce cubes back into the smoker. We're going to let them hang out inside the smoker for about 15 to 20 minutes, just to set the sauce. After those final 15 to 20 minutes in the smoker, those cubes have magically transformed into bite-sized morsels of heavenly goodness. Go ahead and throw them on a plate. Call your neighbors over. You're going to be a hero.
Oh, these burnt ends are awesome. What do you think?
They are delicious as usual.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I can't wait to make something great with these. A sandwich. We can make our traditional. We've got this burnt end chili recipe that we'll share with y'all later. It is awesome. We better munch on these while we can.
Yes, because we did tell the neighbors that we were going to give them a phone call when they were ready. So we better get it while we can.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. They look good.
It's delicious.
So good it should be illegal.
Sure.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. That way you never miss a single exciting episode.
And remember, drink beer.
Mostly craft beer.
But not too much.
See y'all next week.
Bye.